Minister Keir Starmer has condemned protesters' attacks on police in Southampton as completely unacceptable. Violent protests broke out on Tuesday over how police responded to the murder of teenager Henry Nowak. Hampshire Police said 11 officers and one police dog were injured after violent clashes between its officers and protesters near where Henry was stabbed to death. 2 people were arrested at the protests. Police say more arrests may follow. This comes after police body cam footage was released showing Henry Nowak being handcuffed and arrested as he lay dying after being stabbed, despite telling officers he couldn't breathe. Our correspondent Mairead Smith now reports, and a warning, this piece does contain distressing body cam footage which shows Henry minutes before he died.
Clashes in Southampton last night where hundreds of people gathered to protest close to the family home of Vickrum Digwa, the man who killed the 18-year-old student Henry Nowak. Condemned today by the Minister for Policing and Crime.
Some of the behaviour was unacceptable. What I would urge people to do is to allow justice to take its course, to not allow this horrific, tragic case to lead to more hate and division.
Crowds made their feelings clear, throwing bottles and using makeshift weapons. As a result, 11 officers were injured. All of this despite the Nowak family's wish that his death would not cause any further violence.
We want his story to make our streets safer for everyone. That is why we are calling on the government to treat knife crime as the national emergency that it is.
The protest followed an earlier large gathering outside Southampton Police Station, attended by far-right activist Tommy Robinson, whose real name is Stephen Yaxley Lennon.
What's your name, mate? Huh?
It comes after the release of this police body cam footage that showed the moments before Henry Nowak died. The shocking footage shows police handcuff the 18-year-old after his killer, Vickrum Digwa, lied about being the victim of a racist attack. Despite repeatedly telling officers he had been stabbed and telling them he couldn't breathe 9 times, officers told Henry he was under arrest. Moments later, he died.
At the moment, you are under arrest.
It's posed difficult questions for Hampshire Police. In a statement, Chief Constable Alexis Boone said, "I know that since the release of the body-worn video footage from the night of Henry Nowak's murder, there is a desire for answers and accountability, but that must be done in the right way and not used as an excuse to threaten and intimidate my officers and bring violence to our streets, causing fear and harm." The National Police Chiefs Council said it will review anti-racism guidance. The guidance, which was issued last year, suggested officers should treat ethnic minorities differently in order to ensure what it calls equality of outcomes. It now says it is listening to legitimate concerns about how some of these commitments are worded or phrased. And the Independent Office of Police Conduct is investigating what happened. Mairead Smith, BBC News.
Well, the case dominated Prime Minister's questions, with Sir Keir saying the call for rage by the Reform UK leader Nigel Farage in response to the death of Henry was unforgivable. Let's hear some of that exchange in the House of Commons.
Following the horrendous circumstances of Henry Nowak's death, can I urge the Prime Minister to consider this? It is now clear to growing millions in this country that we're living under 2-tier policing. The instructions that are given to police officers from police bosses are clear and written down in ink. It says you must treat different ethnic groups in different ways. That, apart from the upset and the anger at the circumstances of his death, the anger that you saw spilling out in Southampton last night, and which is in danger,
condemn the violence,
which is in danger of getting considerably worse, because if the public lose trust,
condemn it.
if the public lose trust in being treated fairly by the police, can he take some action, end this divisive practice of two-tier policing and make sure that all British citizens are treated the same?
Mr. Speaker, I don't believe there's two-tier policing in this country. I'm really shocked that he pretends to have respect for Henry's family and then acts in this way. They are a grieving family.
Mr. Blash, please, it's a very important question. I want to hear the Prime Minister. If you want to carry on, go outside, please, Prime Minister.
The grieving family have asked us not to respond in the way that the Leader of Reform has responded. They've asked us not to. They have lost their son in the most appalling circumstance. They make a simple plea of us as human beings to please not exploit that. That is their plea to us. We all need to reflect on those words of Henry's father. My response, and the response of others, to be fair, has been focused on the lessons to be learned so we can deliver justice. His response has been to appeal for rage. Rage. That's his response to a father who's lost his son and asked for that not to happen. Exploiting this tragedy to create grievance and division would be wrong in any circumstances, but to do it when the family are expressly saying, please don't, is unforgivable. It shows exactly who he is.
Let's take you to our political correspondent, Damien Grammaticus, who is at Westminster and was watching Prime Minister's questions. Very passionate and quite emotional response there from the Prime Minister, Damien, and Nigel Farage heckled by many people in the chamber today. But at the heart of what they were arguing about too, not only the tragic death of Henry Nowak, but also this allegation of two-tier policing. Can you explain what was meant by that from Nigel Farage? Put it into context for us and some of the responses to that as well.
Yes, that's right, Lucy. I mean, there are two things here. There's the treatment to what happened to Henry Nowak during that arrest, and these questions about, as you say, so-called two-tier, but what some people call two-tier policing, which is often used to describe the way that one ethnic group, one ethnic minority perhaps, or other group might be treated, historically it's been used by that, might be treated differently by the police in relation to another. Here what we have is the allegation that's made that the behaviour of the police officers here was guided by the fact that Henry Nowak's murderer, who was Sikh, had claimed he had been racially abused, and the police gave priority to that claim, not to Henry Nowak, who was dying at the time and who was the victim of the crime, who was white, and that has caused a lot of upset. And the part of the reason for that, Nigel Farage was pointing out, was that the opposition, the Conservatives and Reform, have pointed to this policing document. It's a values document in which talks about, from the Police Chiefs Council, talks about the goal of producing equality of policing outcomes does not mean treating everyone the same. And that is partly in the context of the kind of concerns amongst, or the view amongst some ethnic minorities who've had less confidence in police. That's the way the police have described that. Now, in relation to that, what we have is the Prime Minister saying today that has to be looked at, the behaviour of the officers in the light of this allegation that was made of racism, how that affected their decision making. And the government has already said that the wording in that document is wrong and the police chiefs are looking at changing it. The second big thing, though, here is the question about how politicians are responding to this, and that's when you saw that big sort of divide, that very kind of heated divide between the Prime Minister and Nigel Farage. Nigel Farage yesterday talking about people should respond with pure cold rage because of the treatment of Henry Nowak and the guidance he said is behind it. Although police say that is not guidance to officers, that is just a policy document, doesn't affect operational decision making. The Prime Minister is saying that call for rage, he said, he thought was inappropriate, not what Henry Nowak's family had called for. And interestingly, other political parties, so the Conservative leader, Kemi Badenoch, she said today in the Commons, it's the responsibility of everyone in Parliament to bring people together, not divide them. The Liberal Democrat leader, Sir Ed Davey, same thing. He said the victims of knife crime, and as in this case, deserve a politics where we come together and do not use these events to create further division.
Damien, thank you.